Welcome back to In the Harbor, the podcast where sports, finance, and leisure meet. I'm your host, Jason Johns, joined by my co-host, Sean Richland. How you doing today, Sean?
I'm doing great. Excited to have a fellow Wolverine alumni on the show today, and it should be a fun learning experience for those who like to wear nice clothes.
And a hockey alum, nonetheless.
Yes.
Although he's a bit younger than you are.
I know.
So you didn't overlap. But today's guest is Lee Moffie from State and Liberty.
The clothing store that you can find brick and mortar, you can find online, and the story is incredible of what he's been able to build, and it's a fun journey down an entrepreneur's way to success.
And you'll hear some about COVID. I mean, building a retail brand through COVID, obviously challenging, and it's amazing what he's been able to achieve. I'm wearing his stuff right now.
I'm wearing his stuff.
Sean's wearing his stuff right now.
Our producer, Charlie's wearing her stuff. Everybody's got it on.
Though Charlie's got a face for radio, so
that's right. We keep him behind the bar.
We can't show him on camera. Well, we hope you enjoy this episode. This is In the Harbor. Lee, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
We're excited to have you with us. You know, I think for our audience, why don't we get a quick background, kind of where you were raised and where you're at now?
Yeah, grew up in New Haven, Connecticut. Was a hockey player my entire life. Did the prep school and junior route. Went to the University of Michigan, graduated in 2013. I played professionally. It's important to note in the minor leagues for 2 years following graduation, mostly AA, AAA. And then that was in Colorado's organization and then Boston's organization. And then into my second year, had the idea for a better fitting, better feeling dress shirt. And as a real side project and hobby, started State and Liberty Clothing Company and have been doing that now for 10 years.
So, Lee, hop back here for your high school days. You went to Avon, right? Did you play for Joe Gardner? Was he still there when you played?
Yeah, I did. I think some unfortunate health news has come out about him recently, but he was a legend and still is a legend. Everywhere from, I think he was the provost of the school, which is essentially the principal, and head hockey coach, legendary. I don't even know how many champions, how many NHL players, but he was a great guy to play for and learn from. And, this day and age, I think a lot has changed on the coaching side, but he really was the epitome of old school and was a great guy to play for, especially at that young age. It was just a great experience all around, being able to play with that many high-level players at Avon. I think we might have had 10, 15 guys go Division I on a high school team. Wow. Incredibly competitive environment, and for a 14-year-old kid that wanted to play college hockey, there really wasn't a better environment.
Well, you got two old school guys then. You had him and Red, so you definitely knew the pedigree of what you were stepping into.
Yeah, and then add PK O'Hanley, who's another old school legend from Waterloo. I didn't have a lot of soft coaching growing up.
That's great. So then transitioning out of hockey, when was the aha moment in, starting the shirt company? Was that just a lack of what you could find on the shelf?
Yeah, I think it's kind of your basic entrepreneur story. There were some companies back in the day that were starting to make these dress shirts from a performance fabric, and no one was really doing it with three things that I was looking for. One was the performance fabric. One was with a fit that was tailored to an athletic build, so it had more room in the upper body and then tapered down towards the waist. And then most important to me was nothing looked good and looked professional. So that was the original idea of just a better fitting, better feeling dress shirt from these performance fabrics that actually had stiff cuffs and collars that can look like a normal sharp dress shirt. And back in 2014, no one was really doing that. And that was the initial idea, is to just get that going. And there's just so many moments along the way. I don't think we had any digital advertising or email marketing for 2 years. It was just grassroots trunk show type of stuff, specifically selling to visiting teams when they were coming to play against us in Charleston, South Carolina in the East Coast League. Those guys would come into town. I would go over to their hotel, try and sell a couple of dress shirts before the game, and then see them on the ice that night.
That's unbelievable. So, wait, let's drill down into that for a second. So you would legit go over to their hotel. They come on the bus ride from, who knows, Greenville or Mississippi somewhere. They'd be tired as heck, and then you go over and try to pitch them on your shirts, and then you go out there and dust them.
Yeah.
That's
we had a good team too.
I love it.
That is pretty much how it went. One of the better, I guess, business and hockey stories that I have that I really think sums up the hockey community quite a bit is I was not a fighter. So, I ended up getting into a fight with a guy, and 30 seconds, we're going all out, trying to kill each other, and then go back to the penalty box. My adrenaline's going, my hands are shaking, and I hear the guy tapping on the glass, and I look over, and he says, "I got one of your shirts, man. I love what you're doing." It's such it just really summarizes the hockey community. And, I'm sure guys were making fun of me behind my back, which I think I appreciate them doing that. But on the surface, just incredibly supportive. Everyone in the locker room, opposing teams, people in my network. I was really looking back, really blown away. I mean, I'm sure there's some comments like, this guy's really trying to start a dress shirt company. But on the surface level and in front of me, everyone was just incredibly supportive, which once again, I think just really sums up how great the hockey community is.
So back in those early days when you first started running around into the other teams' hotel rooms, which, by the way, these were not A-plus hotels these East Coast League teams were going into, what was the process like to start the product? So going from concept to actually getting a shirt produced, how did you have any idea what you were doing?
Didn't have any idea. I still am in charge of all the product, and I'm learning something new every day. We have just had great manufacturing partners, and it's so interesting. I had a connection who introduced me to a tailor in Shanghai and gave me their WeChat. And I remember just WeChatting late at night because they were 12 hours ahead, and just chatting through this idea and what we were looking for. And it's pretty amazing. 10 years later, that's still a manufacturer and supplier that we work with. So I really had these long-standing relationship with these great partners. Obviously, we're a lot bigger now, and we have a lot of manufacturing partners, but there's been a lot of support along the way. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I just started getting good at this product thing like 5 years ago. So I don't even know how the product came in the first 5 years. I think there's some good luck in there, but you just learn so much. And when you look at a dress shirt, it looks simple, but there's 175 measurements that go with a dress shirt. And just figuring out along the way.
170, what? 175?
Yeah, it's just crazy. The distance between the buttons, the distance on the placket, the collar length, the collar stand. It's really detailed. And just figuring out along the way. But obviously, we've made a lot of changes since that first product, and figuring out how to get it to where our customers are going to like it. We still take a ton of feedback this day from our team and our customers, and just taking in all that feedback and trying to make changes for the better.
I would imagine, because a lot of people come up with a good idea, but few can execute. So do you think some of the grit and determination from the ice helped you in kind of fulfilling this idea?
I would say more naive and inexperience helps more than anything. Going back and how we did it, we're completely self-funded bootstrap business. I think we started with like $7,000 in total to buy 300 shirts, and have pretty much cash flowed the whole thing ever since then. So I think being naive, young, and inexperienced really helps. And I think, when you're that young, you kind of have nothing to lose as well. So, for me, it just was never really a thought process. It was just something that I enjoyed doing. It was a fun idea. I liked getting the positive affirmation when people would try on the product and say, "Holy shit, you guys might be onto something here. I really love this." And you have these little moments like, I think we launched 2 shirts at the start, and then we launched 5 months later, and 50 people reordered. And it's little moments like that just kind of keep you going every step of the way. But there's definitely some tough moments. I mean, back then we were relying heavily on trunk shows. And I remember I went to my first Equinox gym when I was back in 2015, and I was like, oh my God, this place is a gold mine for our customers. It's like $250 a month to join, and everyone's shredded. Like, this is going to be perfect for us. And I worked every single angle to get a 3-day trunk show going at an Equinox. And I was so fired up. I'm going into it thinking this is going to be a game changing weekend for us. And I think I sold 2 dress shirts. And there's been a lot of moments like that where you walk away just completely deflated and feeling like all momentum and it's not going to work. But luckily, I think our good bounces came at a good time to keep us going.
When with any great idea in clothing, to me, it's amazing that nobody thought of this prior to you guys developing it, and you had the idea to do it along with your partner to build these products for shirts. And obviously, it's expanded into so many things, which we will get into. But that's to me the amazing thing about your product line is, quite honestly, it should have been made before, and you guys have gone through the process of doing it, executing it, and now you're way ahead of everybody else because of how form-fitting it is. So I guess my question to you is, how did you come up with the idea to make such great product and then expand it? And you said you wanted a form-fitting thing, but to me, it's more the athlete in you that came out through the product.
Yeah, I think it's like every kind of entrepreneurial story. It's trying to fill a void for something that you're looking for and just didn't feel like it existed. And there's always that intimidation factor when you're starting a business that, oh, if someone catches wind of the idea, then they're going to do it and replicate it, and they're bigger than us and they have bigger distribution and they have a bigger reach than we do, and they're just going to steamroll us. But I do think it's important, especially in this space, which is incredibly competitive, is just finding your niche and sticking to it. And I remember back in the day, it was like the Shark Tank craze, and we thought we had to raise money if you wanted to start a business. And everyone that we met with said, we just think the idea is too small. And I think the market and where the company's been able to get to today is much bigger than I could have ever imagined. But we were also okay with that. And some of the best advice that we ever got is you don't need to become the next Under Armour to be happy and start a great company. You can be a $5 million company and still live your life and make a good compensation and be happy waking up every day. So that was kind of our mindset. And I read a book called Small Giants, which actually features Zingerman's Richie. It's one of the case studies in the book.
Oh yeah.
And it's really kind of along that same premise of you don't need to take over the world. You take care of people, you come out with great products, you have a hyper focus on the customer experience, and you can build yourself a small giant.
Well, I think that's probably a universal book for our audience as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Most of the financial advisors that are listening here today have practices that would be considered small giants.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's client focused and focusing on those people doing a really good job. Moving back into the, I would imagine going on the trunk shows is a lot like a band on tour, kind of a just fledgling band on tour where they have the car packed up and they're just hopping place to place. Would you say that was the experience?
An old VW and like
pretty
a Grateful
damn
Dead
accurate,
van?
yeah. Got a suitcase full of gear and then setting up with a rack and getting it going. I when I was done playing, I was kind of used to this vagabond life a little bit and going up and down between AAA and AA and living out of my car, living out of a suitcase. And I essentially did that for 2 years and just trying to set up and sell wherever I could. The real kind of turning point with the trunk show life was getting in with all the NHL guys when they were coming to Detroit. And we'd go down to MGM where they would typically be staying, or the Westin. And I would usually be able to go down there and sell a bunch of shirts to those guys. And those were always fun. And those guys, once again, were always incredibly supportive. And as Richie knows, back then I'm like, it's crazy. I'm too old to know anyone in the NHL anymore for personally playing, which is kind of crazy. But back then, I had so many buddies that were playing, and it was so easy to get in every locker room. And once again, the support from the hockey community was just outstanding.
So let's chat about the evolution from the shirts to the other products you now have. And I mean, so many people rave about the other things beside the shirts. I wear the pants. The coat is incredible. Like, what took the step from the shirts to the, I guess, more formal wear?
Yeah, I think a misconception, and it kind of goes back to the Shark Tank thing a little bit, is it's really hard to have a company on a singular product, and especially in apparel and in clothing. and you just have to branch out and offer your customers more. Whether it's the threat of someone else coming in and replicating what you're doing, or customers just not needing a need for a dress shirt anymore. So I didn't know it back in time, and like I said, I know a lot now about getting the business up and rolling. But at the time, it was just, hey, let's try a polo and see what happens. Let's try a pair of slacks and see what happens. But looking back, it's such an important element to building a brand and building a company. And if you just have a singular product, it's just not going to last. But we've always just been very close to the customer. And I think one thing that's really helped our business, and I believe still helps to this day, is I'm the customer. So I think I've gotten lucky where what I like to wear, whether it's style wise, fit wise, pattern wise, is what our customers like to wear. And then I would say now with the evolution of our stores, we have 38 stores now, and 27 of them are males that are great customers that love the product and love giving feedback on the product. And we have a really good communication system where customers let our management team know and our leaders know what they want to see in the product and improvements. They pass it along, and it's worked out well to continue to feed our customers additional products that they might be looking for.
Well, that brings up an interesting point too, because when a lot of companies are going e-commerce, you kind of leaned into the brick and mortar location.
Yeah. So what we found, I think you're noticing this with a lot of the direct consumer e-commerce first companies, is it's really hard to scale that business profitably. It's gotten very expensive on the marketing side to get customers to your site. Even little things such as shipping and returns, it just kind of eats away at your margins, and it's tough. And to be able to acquire and scale acquiring new customers is getting trickier online. I think us specifically, it was even more challenging because $95 dress shirt, $650 suit, that's not like picking up a pair of athletic shorts. And I think there's a lot of things, there's very few things in life now that are really that like guy experience. And getting fit for a suit in person and being offered a drink and being in the hands of a professional, having someone pin up your pants, having someone put your blazer on for you, that's an experience that guys like. And we have found that the stores are not only a great way for us to acquire more customers, but they're a great way for our existing customers to come in and pick up more products. And we're very proud of the store locations and going to continue to open those up as they are. There's something that I'm personally addicted to, and going to be a great avenue of growth for us.
So we went into the Birmingham store, which we frequent here, Birmingham, Michigan, which is where our office is, just this week, and had an amazing experience with the clothing, the people there, the setup. It truly is, and you're underselling it a little bit. It is an awesome store and experience for the customer, and for those in the Metro Detroit area, check it out as well. And I guess I'm curious from a store perspective, how does that Birmingham store do? Because you got the tailor across the street, you've got two spots. It's got to seemingly do very well. It always is crowded when I drive by.
Yeah, that Birmingham store, if there is more Birmingham, Michigans, if anyone knows of them in the country, let me know. It is a gem for us. It's one of the most profitable businesses that we have. I hope our landlord isn't listening, but the rent is really cheap compared to our other locations across the country. And it's a top 5 business for us. I was just there on Saturday as well, working with the team. And yeah, just the traffic, the quality of customer is really unbelievable. And as to your point, it's a big wedding store for us. And this wedding business has kind of taken on a life of its own. It's a tricky one. I think we're going to do 350 weddings in September this year. There's about 7 to 8 guys per. And there's someone in every wedding party who didn't actually want to go with us for the wedding.
Right.
So it's a tricky business, and it's certainly a loud one, but it's one that we love. And the fact that we get to play a part in a guy getting married and their groomsmen looking good on the big day is great. But that store specifically houses a lot of group fittings. And on Saturday, they might have 3 group fittings of 8 guys per fitting. So it kind of congests the store up quite a bit. So we rented that place next door as a place for wedding parties to go. They can have their own space. There's drinks over there. they can maybe get a little rowdy and it doesn't interrupt the flow of the main store too much. But that Birmingham store, and more specifically that Birmingham team, are just excellent. And our businesses, they live and die by the leadership. And we're really proud of the representation that we have at the leadership level of our stores. And they've really made it all possible. And the success of those businesses all predicated on the leadership that we have in place.
Well, I think if a groomsman tries on the kind of the regular standard tux and then a State and Liberty tux,
yeah, it's no-brainer.
They're going to go with the State and Liberty tux all day long. It's comfortable, breathable, stretch. I mean, I'll give you a quick briefing on my introduction to the brand. I was at Dick O'Dow's across the street having a beer with a friend from Chicago who was in town for a wedding and forgot a dress shirt. So he ran across the street, bought a shirt, comes back into the bar, and he's like, feel this shirt. And then I ran across the street, bought a shirt and a jacket. I'm like, this is amazing.
There you go, brick and mortar. I think that's the most feedback I get on the brand is once you put on one of the coats, you'll never want to wear another dress coat, just based on how they feel and fit, and they don't feel like you're in an old stodgy suit that is restricting you at all. So that out of the feedback that I've gotten from people out there.
Yeah, and I think the goal with us is we want it to feel that way and fit that way, but we want it to look really professional and elegant. And I think that's a stigma that we need to fight a little bit when customers hear that it's a suit made from a performance fabric. And, is it not going to look professional? And can certainly attest to whether it's you guys or wedding parties, lawyers, whatever it may be, our product has stood the test of time when it comes to how professional it looks.
I mean, I get a lot of compliments on the jacket I'm wearing right now, probably more so than any jacket I have.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of proof of concept. And I might add it's machine washable, which is incredible.
Yeah. No, they're incredibly low maintenance. I think people love they can just throw them into a ball and travel with them and open it up the next day and be good to go. And yeah, we've just been really fortunate that for stories like you guys are telling I think it takes a lot for guys to get excited about clothes. Obviously everyone's a little bit different, but we've been very fortunate that when people do find our product, they're very loud in telling their friends and their network about it.
So in the brick and mortar, what kind of markets are you guys looking for as far as growth goes? Cities you're going into, what kind of things are you looking at as far as population, demographic? Like what's the game plan?
Yeah, I think the retail scouting is an interesting one. They can give you tons of metrics of medium income and college degrees and all this different stuff. We work a lot on feel. And we go to these different cities, we scout the locations, we say to ourselves, is this a place that we would go on a weekend? And would we bring our significant other? Would we want to go down there, hang out, maybe grab a bite to eat and walk around? Some really important metrics that we look at outside of that, that's obviously more anecdotal and feel. Typically, we're going into a city where we have 1,000 customers. We've found that to be a sweet spot where if we have 1,000 customers in the area and we know this through our e-com business, then we're going to be in pretty good shape if we're in the right complex. I wouldn't even say like the best part of the complex. If we're in the right complex and we have 1,000 customers, it's pretty much a layup that the store is going to do pretty well. And then something we've started doing recently, which has just been excellent, is we'll reach out to our top 200 customers in the area and just say, hey, we're looking to come into this city. Can you give us some recommendations on where to go? And it is typically 90% of them say the same location. Same complex of where we should be. So that has been kind of the recipe. We've been very fortunate that it's been working out well. It's kind of funny. Our last four stores are Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Columbus. So all within 4 hours of each other. But we've got 3 of them open. Columbus is opening up this weekend. They've all been very successful openings, which has been great. We're in a lot of the bigger markets, the Boston, New York, Chicago's, LA, Dallas. At some point we'll probably start looking at doing second businesses in those cities, which will be good. And then we're excited to test out what we can do in a city like in Omaha, where maybe there's not a lot of shopping destinations. I think we have like 650 customers there. So it's a little under our 1,000 threshold. Rent's obviously a little bit cheaper. And if we can open up in cities like that and have continued success, then that really opens us up to open up in even more cities and keep on expanding the footprint.
So what's your goal on that expansion? And then obviously you're going to continue to innovate on the product line and kind of what you're coming out with. Any ideas in the works?
It's really interesting. As far as goals, I'm just kind of addicted to it, and specifically on the store side. And we have a ton of talent at the company that is rearing to take on their own businesses. We love providing that opportunity to them. And ultimately, we love introducing people to our company. And we specifically love doing it in person because we think that, we still have a long way to go. But to your guys' point, when you walk into one of our businesses, it feels different. We describe it internally as trying to provide this laid back luxury experience, but it's not going to be an experience where we're sitting behind the cash wrap and someone has to pull on you to get your attention to figure out what the price is or to see if they can find you the size that they need. We're very active, we're very engaged, and we're really trying to provide this old school experience to retail that has really been forgotten. And this day and age, the majority of stores you walk into, you can't even get a hold of someone. And I can guarantee you and say confidently that within 20 seconds of walking into one of our businesses, you're going to be greeted, you're going to be introduced on the brand, and we're going to try and get to know you. Because if we believe that you're going to be a great fit for our products, we're going to tell you that, and we're going to try and get you to try some stuff on. So we're trying to do it differently. We're trying to do it right, I would say. And we just want to keep scaling that so that we can give more opportunity to our team here and also introduce more customers to the brand.
So if we think about the kind of the entrepreneurship arc, what would you say are kind of the biggest lessons you've learned along the way?
Oof. Well, it's interesting. There's these different milestones and steps where it goes from these different phases of a startup to, a small company to a business to, feeling like a real organization. And I think a lot of that has to do with the headcount that you have. And you need to be a different person for every stage that you're at. And it goes from being this scrappy person that's just trying to sell a dress shirt at any turn that you can to, learning how to manage and grow a team, learning how to lead. There really are these different kind of evolutions to it, and something that I'm still trying to figure out. You go from a founder to whatever it is to like actually sort of feeling like a CEO, and you just take on different responsibilities with that. But I think the most important thing for me since day one has been the dedication to our team and to the products, and then ultimately the customer. And those origins certainly have stayed, even though we've scaled quite a bit since the start.
That's pretty impressive to think about the growth you've had, and it's kind of similar to our business in a way, in the sense that I've been through all those emotions running the company as well, and understand what you're feeling. I had a question on sourcing products. So when you said you had your first plant in Shanghai, as far as what you're seeing now with tariffs and all the things going on in the market environment, how have you guys sourced product, and how many different locations are you sourcing product from now?
Yeah, that's been taken up a big part of my year. It's been an interesting year, as you're trying to run a business and you're uncertain what your product costs are going to be. That's I don't know if there's a business class on that, but I haven't seen that. So it's been interesting. My goal, and finally the dust is starting to settle. It feels like, obviously you never know, one tweet could set things off again. But my goal has been to just try and get our product sourced in as many countries as possible. And when you're talking about the fabrics that we use, that pretty much puts us in the bucket of all the performance fabrics are going to be in Asia. And then when you think about our products, and primarily our business is it's dress shirts and suits, and that makes up the portion of our business. So when you think about those two products combined with the performance fabrics, there's really only 4 countries that we can really get it made in. that being China, Vietnam, Thailand, and India. And we can get our stuff made in all of them. So that's been a big part of my year. I've spent a lot of time in Asia this year, some long flights and some good trips over there. But that's my sole focus right now, and getting to the business to the size where it is. Obviously, you're thinking a lot about risk, what you can do to mitigate risk, and making sure that we can get our product made with as many people as possible is a big part of that.
Makes sense. It sounds a lot similar to a lot of the people we've talked about who make products overseas and whatnot. So definitely understand that risk you have.
I think it's fascinating. And, you know, when you were starting the company, did you imagine you're going to be worried about what the president's tweeting and what tariff policy is going to be, and touring factories in Asia?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think owning a business certainly gets you a little bit more interested in politics and understanding how certain policies can change a lot for you. So yeah, it's been interesting. I've never been one to, complain about what's put in front of us. There's been a lot of hurdles at the company. Getting through COVID obviously is a big one. Being a dress shirt and dress clothes company during COVID is not ideal. Yeah. But you get put in circumstances, and there's really no other choice but to just navigate it to the best of your ability. And I think a big part of this is, if you're always thinking about what can go wrong, or, feeling bad for yourself for being put in the situation, it's never really going to work. I think, growing this company and some of the leadership values that I've learned along the way is just focus on what you can control, and kind of block out the rest.
That brings up, I was going to ask you kind of how to handle different setbacks, but COVID would be a perfect example, especially when you're trying to scale a relatively young company. And then we go into a period where A, stores were shut down for a while. And then B, people weren't going to the office. They weren't going out. They were doing Zoom calls. So there wasn't a lot of dressing up. So
state and liberty masks.
Yeah, we did do the mask thing. We hopped on that train. That was actually very, very helpful for generating some cash, and we needed that. I mean, it was pretty surreal, but it's one of those things too. I don't remember being in that time thinking, oh my God, this is so difficult. How are we going to get through it? You just woke up every day and did it. We certainly did some crafty things during that time, but I think that was an important year for me leadership wise. That's when I really kind of stepped up, and where you're looking at, I think we had 50 people at the time, and they're looking to someone for something, and hopping on weekly calls with everyone, and trying to keep the positivity and the momentum going. To your point, all of our stores had to close down. I think we went from a 50-person company down to a 5. We essentially went into a shell. It was a small group of us that were still at the company, and just did everything we could to try and keep the business afloat. One of the most fun times, and it is interesting when you go through really difficult times, when you get through it, you look back on it thinking those were just how much fun you had during those difficult times. Obviously, it doesn't feel that way when you're going through it, but so we were, I don't know the exact numbers, but the business dropped like 95%. And we got to the point in March or April, whatever the time frame was, where our refunds that we were getting from customers that were returning the products was going to outpace our revenue. So we were having negative days after being a 50-person company just a couple of weeks earlier.
Oh my gosh.
So a big thing that we did is we called every customer that was returning, and essentially just trying to think of unique ways that we can get them to hold on to the product, take it back in store credit, whatever we could do to keep money in the business. We had a bunch of sample sale gear that we had around, and we were FaceTiming with guys, and it was me and 3 other guys in our office, essentially like fighting over, one dress shirt that 2 customers wanted, and what customer was going to get it. So, it's those times that are difficult, and, certainly very long days. It was just, 6 to 9 every day at the office. There was a lot of coffee, a lot of chewing tobacco, some whiskey towards the end of the day. But, looking back, being in the foxhole with guys that you love being with and getting through those times, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Well, and it forces kind of creativity, which can be fun when you're looking back on it, like how you pivoted.
That return philosophy is something that we stick with today, where for us, instead of thinking customer buys something and it's like, oh, he didn't want it to work. Excuse me. And thinking to yourself that he didn't want it to work, we take the philosophy of, well, he wanted it to work, or thinking that he doesn't like the product. Our thought is, well, he wanted it to work. There's a reason why he did try it. So let's get in touch with this guy and let's see if there's another solution that we could provide him. Because sometimes the customer just needs to hear some affirmation that the next size up is going to be perfect for him, or the next size down is going to be right. Or if he doesn't like that color, we have another color. So that's actually still a big part of our customer experience philosophy when someone is returning product, to just ask them a question of why and what we can do to provide them a product that they are looking for. And it's been very successful in helping our return rate.
That's a great methodology, I think, to keep people in your ecosystem too, where they don't just swing by and leave. So that's
sure.
Awesome. I love that. So what's next for State and Liberty? You guys have been innovative on products. I mean, the coats were huge. The dress suits were huge. The shorts now even are great. What else are you guys cooking up there that you can tell us?
Yeah, I think we're really excited about the fabric that you're wearing, Jason. That's a newer fabric for us, and it really helps us expand the styling on our suits. I think for a while we were a little one-trick pony, and I would say a little stale in the pattern offerings that we had. It seems like the bolder that we keep going with some of the suiting and blazer styles, the more popular they are. So we're really excited to keep going deeper in our suiting. And as I mentioned, interesting year where I didn't think that so much of my time was going to be spent on trying to get our products replicated in as many countries as possible. We're still going through that. So it's almost been a little bit of I wouldn't say a setback year, but just a little bit delayed on product development, where the main focus has been, we need to make sure that we can get our core products made in as many places as possible. But yeah, we're excited to just kind of stick to the recipe. I think it's a misconception that, me and my business partner, Jake, are in here just drumming up like the world's next big plans. It's like, we're taking care of our team. We're coming out with good products, and we're opening up new businesses across the country. And that's been a good playbook for us. It's one that we're going to continue to run after for the next couple of years. I think, I'm not a huge fan of a 5-year forecast. I think the enemy of a plan is thinking that you have a good plan. And I think we're looking out further than we ever have as far as the planning goes, but just taking it, 3-6 months at a time, and trying to keep on opening up new store locations that are going to be successful, while offering messing around with some new fun products, but really making sure that we're going deep in the core products that have been successful.
Oh, that's great. I know I picked this jacket up at your location at Keystone Crossing in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Newer business for us.
What were you doing down there?
I was doing some meetings with advisors, and I saw this in the window. I was walking through the mall. I was staying in Keystone Crossing, saw this. I'm like, that's awesome. And you keep coming out with new patterns as well. I know when we were in the store the other day, there was a gray plaid with blue in it that looked pretty nice. And
yeah, no, we've been going a little bit bolder with the styling, and it's been received really well. And yeah, it's really just our plan is we keep about 10 to 12 suit styles that are our core. We always have those all year round. And then every 45, 60 days coming out with 5 to 6 new suits, keeping them relatively low stock. They usually last us 2 to 3 months, and then just keep on rotating those through, so that there's a lot of options for our customers. And then anything that we do come out with that we do sell out on, we can always order it on a made to order or through a made to measure sizing.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for the time. I want to go to a rapid fire question, something I'm curious about. What is your go-to State and Liberty piece?
I just think I'm very spoiled. I think that putting on a fresh white dress shirt, there is just nothing better than that. And that, to me, because I'm very fortunate that I have some options here, but anytime you get to put on a fresh white dress shirt, I just think that's the best.
You still skating, Lee, or no?
Not at all.
Me either.
I have really enjoyed picking up tennis. I picked it up when I stopped playing, so maybe 10 years ago. I have the ability to be good. I have the talent. I do not have the consistency. And I just think that sport is unbelievable. It is a mental battle with yourself, and there's so much physicality to it. The fact that I can go out and play for an hour and be completely exhausted, I feel like that's kind of the trade-off is tennis or golf. And I'm not interested in playing a 5-hour round and spraying the ball all over the place. So I've picked up tennis, and I've really been enjoying it. It's the most frustrating sport. It's probably slightly under golf as far as how frustrating it is, but I just think it's such a beautiful game, and hopefully one I can play for life.
I'm more of a pickleball guy. I don't have to run so much. Just hang out by the kitchen.
Anti-pickleball.
So I was going to ask, go to activity or hobby to reset and refocus, but I'm assuming that's tennis.
I would say that. I think we're very fortunate. We have a younger business here. I'm maybe one of the older guys here at 34. I'm not sure, but we got a good gym upstairs and some young guys that like to get up there and get after it. I've never been a huge need for stress relief type of guy. I do think that getting under a bar or picking up some dumbbells, that's like, okay, if I don't focus right now, I'm going to hurt myself. I think that's a good way to get a quick 30-second escape from anything going on. So very fortunate that we have a great group of guys here that love getting after it in the gym. And I certainly like doing that as well.
Absolutely. Do we want to closing plug on website?
Yeah, let's do it.
Where can our audience find State and Liberty locations or find you online?
Yeah, it's stateandliberty.com. You can search the locations. There's also the little pin in the top right of the website that'll give you all the locations. Google's a hell of a resource for that as well. But 38 store locations. We'll have 41 by the end of the year, pretty much in all the major cities. And then can always go, stateandliberty.com to shop the e-com. But as much as we do love e-com sales, I do think if you want the full experience of the brand and the products, going to visit one of our stores is definitely the way to do it. And I'm quite confident and can guarantee you it's going to be a unique experience that you haven't been used to on the retail side. And yeah, I think we can follow up here with whatever discount code name you think would be good for the podcast. And we're not big on discounting, but happy to do 10% off for the listeners.
Oh, we appreciate that. That's great.
Well, congrats on all your success, Lee. Super proud of you as a fellow alum. You've cranked it. Keep it up. And I will say going to your store is a different experience than any other dress clothing store I've ever been to. So, your innovation is appreciated. And it's also fun to walk in and grab a beer while you're
it's not bad
shopping around.
Cold beer in the fridge. There's some whiskey, other options. I would say don't go at 10 a.m.
Yeah, maybe
our lawyer is going to be pissed with the plugs on the bar, but we'll figure it out.
Well.
So good. So good. Well, congrats on everything. Thanks for your time today.
Cool. Thanks to you guys. And congrats to you guys on all your success. And Richie, I appreciate you having me on. And nice meeting you, Jason.
Likewise. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate your time.
Cool.
Thank you for listening to our conversation with Lee. We hope you enjoyed it. Fantastic story. Sean, what is your takeaway?
I'm just so impressed with the fact that he was able to go into the opponents coming into his town when he was with the South Carolina Stingrays and sell them shirts and then go play a game, getting a sparring match with a guy on the ice, and then he's buying the product. I just think it's so cool, the journey he had from player, trying on the stuff, wearing it, and then turning into having some success in stores, then having a complete fumble with COVID, unbeknownst to them with everything going on. And then, wow, now he's got 370 employees across the country, brick and mortar everywhere. How many stores were there?
38.
38 stores. I mean, what a great story about you build a brand that's good, it's differentiated, and look what you've been able to do. And some of the knowledge he gave us of how he thinks about things. And it's really interesting. And a great book to read, too, which I haven't read yet. Small Giants. I'm going to get on that one.
Yes, that is on my list as well. One of my takeaways is 175 measurements for a single shirt.
I know. I didn't really believe that one. That's going to be Googled or Chat GPT when we get done here.
Yeah, we'll fact check him. Another thing, I mean, the penalty box story, the guy's knocking on the glass. I love your shirts.
So good.
I think that's great. So truly a grassroots brand effort. It's incredible to see what he's accomplished.
And he's been so kind to give us a promo code for our listeners. And I'm really excited for this, for all the financial advisors out there that want an opportunity to try out some of the outerwear. I highly recommend this for the fall. I just got this the other day. This is a shirt that you can pick up online as well as in the stores. And then the suits are just insanely great. So, Jay, if you want to spill the beans here.
Absolutely. So the promo code is going to be in the harbor for 10% off Estate and Liberty. I would encourage you to go into a store if there is one near you. It is a really enjoyable experience when shopping, and you can get 10% off, which nobody complains about that. Also, I'd encourage you to check out stateandliberty.com. That is their website. You can see where all 38 brick and mortar stores are located. Thank you for tuning in. This is In the Harbor. We'll see you next time.